Well, the future of Australia's most expensive and expansive security agreement is under a cloud this morning, with the Pentagon undertaking a review of the AUKUS defence agreement between the US, UK and Australia. Under the agreement, Australia would be armed with nuclear-powered submarines at a cost of more than $350 billion.
The US Department of Defense is reviewing the agreement to ensure it is aligned with President Donald Trump's America First agenda. The development is likely to add fresh urgency to an expected meeting between Anthony Albanese and Donald Trump on the sidelines of the G7 in Canada this week. This is, of course, a developing story, and we're chasing reaction for you from around the globe this morning. But first, let's head to our North America correspondent, Carrington Clarke, who is in Washington. G'day, Carrington. Tell us, first of all, what exactly do we know about this?
Well, what we know is that the Pentagon is undertaking this review. They say it has to do with ensuring that the AUKUS Pact, which, remember, was signed when Joe Biden was still the President of the United States, aligns with Donald Trump's so-called America First agenda. What is interesting is that some of the things they're looking at is that to ensure that allies step up fully to do their part for collective defence, and also ensuring that the defence industrial base is meeting our needs. Now, there have been questions raised here in the United States about the AUKUS agreement and whether or not it potentially leaves America vulnerable, in that it will mean Australia receiving nuclear-powered submarines at a time when America is not producing enough nuclear-powered submarines for its own needs. That question also about whether or not allies are stepping up and doing their part for collective defence is a live issue here in the United States. America has been putting pressure on many allies to increase defence spending. So the question is whether or not this AUKUS review is trying to look more widely at whether or not the other allies involved, and that is Australia, of course, which has a huge amount of money on the line, but also the United Kingdom, are spending enough on their defence to ensure the collective defence of all three. Now, it should be pointed out, at this point, there is no evidence that Donald Trump is planning to ditch the AUKUS agreement, but part of the reason there is such concern about the AUKUS Pact under Donald Trump is we've never heard a full-throated endorsement of AUKUS from Donald Trump. Previously, when he was asked about it, he seemed to be perhaps confused about the terminology. And although the current Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said that Donald Trump is in favour of AUKUS, the fact that we haven't heard it from the man himself is concerning. And of course, it also goes to the heart of how Donald Trump does deals. He seems to be a leader who does not believe that deals signed by predecessors necessarily need to be enforced by him or need to be held by him. So obviously this will raise real concern in Australia in particular, given that AUKUS is such a massive part of Australia's future defence capability and our defence planning.